Well, hello folks. Gonna have a good talk this morning. It's breaking news, although it's not covered by any media. It's huge, and it's huge for UCP in their election run to be the next Premier of Alberta for a short term, if they're not careful. And unfortunately, history does repeat itself. I want to go into what's the breaking news, and it's absolutely Alberta Treaty Indian breaking news, and it's breaking news for Albertans if you're not paying attention. Christy Belcourt gone viral. Gone viral. If you haven't seen her art, Water is Life, which brings me full circle to Alberta separatism, to Alberta conservatism, conservationism, and our history, and failure to look at history as it really is, failure to stare it in the face, see the mistakes of the past, and make course corrections is what destroys all political parties, regardless of their narrow views, their dogmatic views. It's a warning, absolutely, for Alberta separatists and absolutely conservatives right here in Alberta. Federal conservatives too, but I doubt Pierre-Paul Lévesque is going to even look at it. I don't even know if any of the Alberta UCP leadership candidates are going to look at it, but we're going to get into real history now. And Christy Belcourt, she's Treaty 6. She was with me a number of years ago, 2018, when I went in pre-2019 election. I met the 49 Indian chiefs of Alberta, a good chunk of them, in a weekend retreat. I was blessed to be invited to that. Gave them the Alberta presentation, which separatists in Alberta don't seem to want to work on. They think that somehow that they're going to effectively ignore the First Peoples, and it's detrimental. And we're going to go into the breaking news now, and Christy Belcourt's art that is just viral. If Albertans aren't paying attention, I'll tell you the most shared piece of news today is Christy Belcourt's art, Water is Life, viral across the United States of America, viral across Alberta, viral across Canada. Most important piece of news today, and nobody wants to hear it. So I'm going to get into the Ballad of Ira Hayes. If you've never heard it, it's an old song, not written by Johnny Cash, but Johnny Cash made it extremely successful. It hit the news. It went on all the way through Richard Nixon entirely. Leader of Senate through JFK, all the way to Richard Nixon taking presidency and transforming the United States of America for the American Indians forever. And we finish in Arizona from the Ballad of Ira Hayes. We finish in 2013. Republicans finished the work. Started in 1960 of the Gila Indian Community Reserve, Gila River. If you've never looked at the history of that, look at the history. That's when regional governments would steal water from reserve Indians, take it away, divert it, strip them of water is life. Now, that's illegal in the United States. Illegal. Started as an act in Senate by one Richard Nixon, leader of Senate, 1960, all the way through JFK, till his finishing blow, 1975, where he finished off for the American Indians, cementing forevermore in American history, water is life. And the Gila Indian Reserve, 2013, got the largest water is life settlement in North American history. Now, Canada hasn't participated in that, none whatsoever. In fact, sadly, Canadian Indians and Inuit and Northern Métis are without clean water. Without water, there is no water is life. Not for the Inuit, not for the Northern Métis, not for a large portion of Northern Treaty Indians. Absolutely none. None whatsoever in Canada. For Ontario, for Quebec, Atlantic, and most of British Columbia, the Cascadia. Absolutely none for Caledonia, Ontario. Sick, perverted, disgusting. Canada is the epitome. Between Russia and USA, Canada ranks worst for water is life, clean, drinkable water, the respect for life. Again, folks, if you haven't streamed it now, go look at Christy Belcourt's art, Water is Life, released today. Viral. USA loves it. Republicans sharing it, going through Indian reserves from Canada through the USA up to the Inuit. She hit the mother lode. That's going to be worth some money, I would think. The Ballad of Ira Hayes goes like this. Drunken Ira Hayes, he don't answer anymore. Not the whiskey drinking Indian or the Marine that went to war. What Ira Hayes did and what plagues the Gila Reserve today is the world's largest #1 source of type 2 diabetes, folks. It's a sad story. 1859, regional farmers diverted the river, starved out all the Gila Reserve Indians of water. They were an agricultural people throughout their history, took it away. All they were left with was firewater. And to this day, the alcoholism is so high that type 2 diabetes is the largest source in all of North America. Now, that's been transitioning since 2013, a long road of recovery here, but it's happening in large part from the Republicans, nothing of the Democrats, absolutely nothing of conservatives in Canada, liberals in Canada. They're the worst perpetrators. What did Ira Hayes do, and what is he famous for? Well, Iwo Jima, World War II. He's one of 6 Marines. A battalion went and stormed up that hill. A major victory that changed, one of the victories that changed the war that America may have lost, especially to the Japanese in naval. They were losing. If people don't know your history, people who read war know that America nearly lost to Japan and Germany. Nearly. If they had lost to Japan in the naval wars, it would have been game over. Ira Hayes and his battalion stormed the hill. He's one of 6 soldiers who fought tooth and nail. If you don't know about the Japanese honor system and fighting to the death, even Harry Carey, you haven't done much reading. Ira Hayes was an exception to the rule. They fought tooth and nail to the last man standing. 6 Americans remained, 6 Marines. Ira Hayes went proverbial full Indian and wasted the rest of the Japanese up a hill. And for those who don't know military, storming uphill is a loser's folly 9 times out of 10. But they never met the honor of an American Indian. Well, the Japanese found out that day, and America won the hill. He raised the flag. It's one of the most famous pictures of the flag raising. Ira had to identify the other Marine in the picture. And Ira Hayes became very famous. He died frozen, drunk in a ditch. True story, full on alcoholism, deep postpartum depression. I know all about it, as my great uncle at the same time period was a paratrooper as well too. And folks, Ira was a Marine paratrooper, so he even saw even worse action. Life expectancy extremely low. He defied all odds. Probably an impossible feat, but who knows, with that Indian courage and honor system that surpassed the Japanese. He did. And he did that. And he was extremely famous war hero. But he went home where water was not life, where his people were starved out. It's what sent him to war, and he never recovered. And then they made that ballad. It became famous. It was resurrected and redone over and over. Bob Dylan did it too. If you've never read Johnny Cash, he went extreme. He got banned, actually, for supporting the American Indian. And, of course, Richard Nixon loved it. Richard Nixon pushed it forward. And American Indians got the best axe and settlement they ever got was in the presidency of Richard Nixon, which would go on water is life for all the states of the USA. And although Ira Hayes would never live to see water rediverted to his people, it did happen, and it was done in 2013. 635,000 square miles, cubic miles of water returned to the Gila River people. An amazing feat that if you don't lose courage and you don't lose faith, it can be done. Now, Canadian separatists, a lot of UCPers seem to think that you could gain independence on a platform ignoring the Canadian Indians, the Alberta Indians, the 49. Big mistake. You still need the Inuit overlap as well too in that Arctic Circle. I would get busy on that. Anyone delusional enough to think that Danielle Smith's Sovereignty Act and the things she's going to do in the absence of the Treaty Indians, in the absence of the Inuit and Northern Métis, you're sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Now, the 30s, there were things done by a particular government that are actually unconstitutional. They were challenged and beaten by two lieutenant governors, and then one successfully after. That was the Social Credit Party, and they did win some feats after, and they did make some settlements with the Métis, but on numbered treaty land, the only ones done in all of Canada. And it's the reason why not a lot, but much of southern central Alberta was settled, and that was done. Whether it was appropriate or not remains to be seen and tested in court. In King's Court, I doubt we'll see any wins there. But history proves that if you don't follow the United States of America in real federalism, we're talking real federalism, meaning provincial constitutionalism, and if you've never looked at the Gila River Community Indian Reserve, look at their 1960 Constitution. Water is life. Look at your treaty numbers. Water is life. Failure to address and look at this stuff is only the first loser. History shows that. USA and no Republican alive today will support any Alberta separatists, will not support the very fake Conservative Party, the UCP, and any narratives going forward. If you do not recognize water as life, you sign those numbered treaties. Alberta's entirely numbered Indian treaties. I don't like the Indian Act. I want to destroy the Crown. I want to destroy that. But those looking for separatism and independence, those looking to revitalize UCP in the coming months and into the October election and final finale, recognize water as life, because none of you, no matter how much you pay, are being shared as much as one Christy Bellecourt today, who's not paid on the Facebook community. That is being gravitated. And Americans are watching you all, whether you get it or not. Your unitary ways are not going to fly. Your crown-loving ways are not going to fly. Not conservative and not separatist. Wake up, people. Danielle Smith is a loser's folly, a liar, and worse, flies in the face of history and real freedom. You want to talk freedom? Talk constitutionalism. I don't see any UCP candidates bringing that forward. Not a one. Not a one. Water is life. A regional division of powers found in Section 92 along with property rights as water rights and much, much more. Never given to the Canadian people in any province or territory, never cemented constitutionally, and definitely removed from all the First Peoples in Canada. Inuit, Métis, Treaty Indian, and absolutely unceded Indian. Pathetic, gross. It's disgusting what this country is. It's disgusting what the provinces have evolved to. It's disgusting what we bring forward in narratives that get polluted by a diseased crown, diseased, institutionalized Canadian citizens who are not in any way, shape, or form compatible with Americans at all. Now there are dirty Democrats like Joe Biden. You all fit the bill for that. They don't believe in water is life either. They believe in the crown, at least under Joe Biden, and that's something they would love to mimic. They'd love to mimic dirty Justin Trudeau, the filthy genocidal maniac. Looks like Pierre-Paul Vert is only going to continue in that model too. It's coming to an end, folks. People are waking up. You can share this. It's breaking news. It should be shared. And if you want to go look, Christy Belcourt, Treaty 6, the most shared news of the day. Not famous in Canada, not one lick. Why? Because she's just a dirty, savage Indian, according to the Canadian government, provincial governments. You won't see CBC, CTV Global, or anyone sharing it, because it's not breaking news, even though it's huge, huge across North America. Go watch, listen to the Ballad of Ira Hayes. Go look at the Gila Reserve, Gila River Community Indian Reserve. Look at its history. Look up Jan Brewer, Republican governor, 2013 in the Gila River Reserve. Go look at it. That's real history. Water is life. Failure is only a repeat of history. To me, it won't matter because the crown will come down whether people like it or not. And separatists, conservatives, conservationists who think they're going to go forward, lying to themselves, lying about history, repeating the mistakes of hundreds of years ago that USA has corrected long, long ago. Nearly 70 years ahead of us, 72 years ahead of us, 50 years in monumental civil rights, more than 50 years ahead of us. Unbelievable. And yet Canadians, Albertans, want to continue on a fool's folly, wondering why we are weaker and weaker. Well, that's the truth. This is credible, real, it's breaking news, and people should share it. At least be on the inside edge of knowledge. Don't be a daft, institutionalized Canadian. Don't be a dummy. And go look up Christy Belcourt. Her art, Water is Life. It's going to be worth something, that's for sure. Well done, Christy. Bye now.